Today is Wednesday, 2012, May 30th, and we are talking to Venitta Camden. Did I pronounce your name right?
Right.
Venitta, would you mind telling us where you were born?
I was born in Oxford, Indiana.
How far is Oxford, Indiana from St. Louis?
It's almost 4 hours.
Okay.
A good three and 3/4.
Would you mind telling us what year you were born?
1926.
Thank you. Well, how long did you stay in Indiana then?
Until I was 30, I say, I graduated 30, till I was 37.
So you went to school in Indiana.
Right,
What type of school did you go to?
Catholic school.
Was it just girls or was it
No.
boys and girls?
Boys and girls.
Mhm. Was this grade school and high school?
Just grade school.
What kind of high school did you go to?
Public high school.
Oh, okay. Where's the largest city close to where you were?
Lafayette, Indiana.
Is there a university there?
Purdue.
I thought that sounded familiar.
Yeah, right.
Did you attend university?
No, I'm an RN. I went to school there near Purdue, in the same town, Lafayette. I went to school, nursing school there.
So you have a degree in nursing?
Right, I'm an RN.
And did you work then in Indiana for a while?
No, after I graduated, I couldn't take my state board because I wasn't 21. So my roommate and I came down to St. Louis to take some postgraduate work at the old city hospital.
Oh.
And while we were there, I met my husband.
What was his name?
Bob Camden.
Well, I'm sorry, what was your maiden name?
Cooley.
Ha.
Cooley. Cooley.
Oh.
And then when I went back to take my state board, and then while I was here taking my postgraduate work, they offered me a job at Barnes Hospital.
Oh.
So I went home to take my state board, but I came back and worked at Barnes Hospital.
On Kings Highway?
Mm-hmm.
What department or what?
I was head nurse on emergency.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. And how long did you work there?
I worked there till I got pregnant with my daughter, and back in those days, they really didn't want you to work, especially in the emergency room. So luckily, I didn't work then until, at the time we were living in an apartment after we got married, so we had moved out to, my husband worked at McDonnell Douglas, and so we had moved out to Ferguson. We rented a house out there, and then after I had my baby, then we moved to Woodson Terrace. We had a house in Woodson Terrace after my baby was born. And then I didn't go back to work until I had 4 children, and then I didn't go back to work until my youngest one was in 6th grade.
Wow.
And
were you living in Woodson Terrace the whole time with the 4 children?
No, just my first one was born there. And then we moved to Carrollton.
What street in Carrollton?
Oh, my goodness. Isn't that terrible?
Why don't you just take a minute and tell me, was it close to the church?
Down by the pool.
Oh, was it Selburne?
No.
Selburne was one of the main long
that
streets.
was Selburne. We were off of that. Weston Lane.
Weston Lane.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
And you said your husband worked for McDonnell Douglas.
Right.
We have interviewed many people now that have worked for McDonnell Douglas that lived in Carrollton. So when you moved over there, was it because he had work friends that lived in that area that told him about the area?
Yeah, he had work friends that, and we knew some people that worked, from work that we ran around with, played bridge with and that sort of thing.
What kind of a place was Carrollton when you moved in there? Do you remember kind of what year that was?
Yeah, that was 1950. Let's see, my son was born. It was 1950s.
In the 50s.
1956.
I see.
My daughter was in first grade. Yeah.
Was the house that you bought brand new or had it been lived in?
It was brand new.
Wow. Nice.
A split level.
How many bedrooms were there?
4 bedrooms.
Was that a pretty big house then in those days?
Yeah, it was good size, but then we had 4 children, But that's what my husband wanted. That's what we picked out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now you say you had 4 children,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't go back to work until your youngest was in 6th grade.
Right.
Well, tell me, what school did your children go to?
They went to the Catholic school there in Carrollton.
St. Lawrence the Martyr?
St. Lawrence Martyr.
Were you involved in the St. Lawrence the Martyr activities?
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us about some of them?
Oh, well, I was president of the Mothers Club at the church. And like I said, I wasn't, and then I was also president. They had a group of women that had lunches at the club, and I was president of that one year. But like I said, I didn't go back to work until I was in 6th grade. My youngest one was in 6th grade.
Well, do you have 2 boys and 2 girls?
3 boys.
Oh, 3 boys.
And 1 girl.
Is she the youngest?
She's the oldest.
Oh, okay.
But she passed away about a year ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
2 years, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. How old was she?
53.
Wow.
Yeah, she had twin girls and a son. And
Did they live in this area?
No, she lived in Florida, and then they moved to Tennessee. That was with her second husband. She had twin girls and a boy, and in fact, one of the twins just made me a great-grandchild.
Oh my
A
goodness.
couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Wow, well, congratulations
Yeah.
on that.
First
Now,
year.
are your sons living in this area?
I have one son that lives in St. Charles and works at Boeing, and I have one son that lives in Kansas City. He's an engineer for, I think the name is Black and Veatch. They build power stations and nuclear, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
those windmill things.
Okay.
And then I have a son in the state of Washington. He's works for the state legislature. He's a reporter, like whatever. But
Well, your husband, was he from St. Louis originally?
no, he was from Chicago.
Oh my goodness. So he was from Chicago and you were from Indiana. Those are kind of neighbors.
Yeah. I have relatives in Chicago, but I didn't know him until I moved down to St.
How did you meet him?
On a blind date.
And that's another thing I think we have heard a lot through these interviews.
Yeah.
I think that is another thing we have heard
Yeah.
were blind dates.
Well, that's how Jenny and I met.
And that's how Joe and his
Yeah.
wife, Jenny, met. And so who fixed you two up?
Well, my roommate in nurses training and his friend, my roommate went to school with his friend, and then he was best man at our wedding. But they met after they were both in the service, and when they came back, they went to aeronautics school in Chicago, the two of them.
You mean your husband and his friend?
And his friend. And his friend went to high school with my roommate. So
Oh, what branch of service was your husband in?
he was in the Navy.
And he served in World War II?
Yeah.
And then, how long was he in the Navy?
Well, as soon as he got out of high school, he didn't wait to be drafted. He wanted to go in the Navy, but he was too tall.
I didn't know they
Yeah.
put a restriction on the height.
Well, he wanted to be a pilot. And, you know, they want these beefy guys that are kind of short, you know, and strong. But they said he was too tall and too thin. Too thin, too skinny.
To beanpole, huh?
Yeah, he was. He was.
So then what did he decide? Or so he couldn't be a pilot.
He couldn't be a pilot, so he went in the Navy. His father was in the Navy in World War I.
I see.
So, and his uncle Chico was also in the Navy. So
He was trying to follow in their footsteps.
yeah, sort of. Well, they wouldn't take him in. He wanted to be a pilot, and they wouldn't take him, so he joined the Navy.
Oh, okay. So he served in World War II?
Mm-hmm.
And this was before you met him?
Mm-hmm.
I
I
see.
didn't know him then.
I see. How old were you when you got married?
I was 23, and he was 24 or 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was 2 years older than I was.
I see. Now you say that your children were kind of on their way growing up, and then you decided to go to work again. Where did you go to work then?
I went to work for, I was in school nursing. And when I was in school nursing, my son was going to a dermatologist over in St. Charles. And his nurse got sick. And so they asked me if I would, it was in the summertime, and I was in school nursing, but in the summertime I didn't work. You know, school nurses don't work in the summer.
Oh, I see. You were a school nurse.
Yeah, I was a school nurse.
Far at St. Lawrence, you mean?
No, at Hazelwood and Pattonville, I subbed
Oh, okay.
as a school nurse.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so anyway, in the summertime, I was going over to St. Charles with my son to a dermatologist, and they needed a nurse. And so it was time for me to go back into school nursing. And so anyway, I worked there for this nurse because she was sick. And so when it was time for me to go back to school nursing, he asked me if I would stay. And so I did.
And when that was full time?
That was full time.
Monday through Friday?
Well, yeah, it was, Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were off on, he took Friday off. We worked on Saturday.
Okay. So that worked out pretty well for your family?
Oh, yeah. Pay was good. He was good to us.
Wonderful. Now, when your children, I guess, went all the way through St. Lawrence, would they go through 8th grade?
Yeah, 8th grade.
And then where'd they go to school?
They went to Aquinas High School.
And that was co-ed, girls and boys?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What kind of activities did your children do while you lived in Carrollton?
Oh, what do you
Did
mean?
they play sports?
Oh, well, my one son, he coached the young kids baseball.
Your son coached the littler children?
Yeah, the Little League. And, they didn't really play football. They weren't on, none of them were on a football team. But they played baseball.
All the boys?
Yeah, and they went swimming. I mean, my daughter, she went swimming. She just swam.
Well, we know that from our interview with Joe Campbell that the pool in Carrollton was quite popular.
Mm-hmm.
Did your children use the pool there?
We were just 2 blocks away.
So they could just walk, or
Yeah. Well, they even walked to school.
what'd you say?
They walked to school too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it pretty safe for the children to walk to school, or did you walk with them, or
No, it was pretty safe.
They-
Walked. Mm-hmm.
and coming home from school they could just?
They could just walk. It was only 4 blocks.
But you know, now people in this day and age, people are so
Yeah, I know.
worried about children.
I know. Well, they had to cross over the bridge, you know. But back then, It was no, it was safe.
Were there a lot of children in the area that were also walking to St. Lawrence?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have a question about the bridge. Now, was your neighborhood always connected to the outside world primarily by that bridge?
Yes,
And was 270 built at the point when you moved in?
it was when we moved in, but before we moved in, it was just built.
Uh-huh.
Before and it was still, the highway wasn't there.
Mhm. So was there a bridge there anyway, or did you went straight
No,
across?
there wasn't a bridge. You went down.
Okay.
But you could get out onto Gist. Could you get
Yes.
out onto Gist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause-
But it was real close to go right straight across to St. Lawrence. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could go the back way and go across the St. Charles Bridge.
Mhm.
That's the way I went to work.
Yeah.
The back way. Yeah.
Did you have your own car at that time?
Yeah, we had 2 cars. He had a Carmen Ghia.
A Carmen Ghia, your husband?
Yeah.
Isn't that a little sports car?
Well, yeah, he had a Volkswagen first, but then he got a Carmen Ghia. That's what he wanted. And that was fine.
How many people could sit in a Carmen Ghia?
Well, just 2. Well, it had a little back seat that you could put the kids or a dog or a cat in, But yeah, he could put the 3 kids back there. When
All
they were
3 kids?
When they were little.
Well, now the situation is where children have to be in a car seat
Oh, I know.
until they're a certain age and a
Right.
certain weight, so a lot of things that happened before you can't do now. So that's why I was thinking of a little sports car. How long did he have his Carmen Ghia?
Oh, well, he had it. Let's see, I'm trying to think.
And he's tall, you said.
Huh?
He was a tall man, you
He was
said.
6'1".
How did he fit in that Carmen
Well, that's
Ghia?
what everybody says. All these tall guys always have these little cars.
I mean, I'm not really that knowledgeable on sports cars, but I have this mental picture of it being a
Yeah.
small car.
Well, but that's what he wanted.
And what kind of car did you drive?
Well, we had what was it? Oh goodness. It was a gray. They called it the Bullet.
They called it the Bullet.
Yeah.
Was it a Chevy?
No, it was a Dodge.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. So, what about your daughter? Was she in Scouts at St. Lawrence?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was in Scouts, Girl Scouts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what can you tell us about the annual St. Lawrence Carnival?
Oh, I took part in that. I mean, I worked the carnival.
When you say you worked the carnival, what kind of activity did you do?
Well, I sold tickets in a ticket booth and brought food out, or cakes and pies and stuff.
And for people who had never heard of the St. Lawrence Carnival, what kind of activities did they have there at the carnival?
Oh, they had the merry-go-round and the Ferris wheel.
And you could see those when you were driving by on 270.
Right. It was regular carnival. Yeah.
And you had hundreds of people.
Oh yeah, it was for 2 days. Yeah.
And so what did the parishioners provide the food?
Yeah. Mhm.
And then what did people purchase food or?
Well, they.
Actually, I have never been to a carnival.
You haven't?
No.
Oh my goodness. Well, the men ran the beer booth, and so they had a soda booth, and then inside the church or the school there, they had the food, where you could sit down and eat, and then all the women prepared the food, baked the goods, and prepared all the food. You've never been to a carnival? Oh, for God's sake. They still have them at St. Lawrence.
No.
It's Holy Spirit now, but they still have carnivals. You'll have to go.
Well, I'm not into riding on rides actually, so I
No.
don't know what I would do.
Well, maybe that would be considered training, Judy. We could get the commission to pay for you to go on
Did
the
the people
rides.
did they have to pay just to go on the grounds, or did you pay just for what individual
buy-
activity you wanted to do?
You buy tickets for the rides.
I see.
You know. Take her on the haven't you ever been on a Ferris wheel?
Sure.
Oh, okay. But not at a,
Well, I've never been to a St. Lawrence or carnival. No.
oh, well, it's not St. Lawrence, it's Holy Spirit.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. They have them every year. In fact, the priest, he has his own special soup that he makes. It's like with shrimp, and it's a shrimp and vegetables and shrimp and other kind of crab. But he has his own special recipe. He makes this big pot of soup for the carnival.
Is that now you mean
Yeah,
over
now.
at
And
Holy Spirit?
Yeah.
Okay. But who was the priest when you were over at St. Lawrence? Do you remember?
Oh, Father, he's dead now. Father,
Was it?
Holland, maybe?
well, Father Holland was there, and Father Manning,
Manning.
and Father Murphy.
Murphy, right.
Father Murphy. Yeah.
Did your boys go on to university or college?
Yeah, my son went to Mizzou.
Oh, really?
The two boys went to Mizzou. And then the youngest one went to, he started working at Boeing. And when you work at Boeing, it's a must that you go to college.
Really?
And they pay for it.
Wow.
So they paid for his, he worked there for 2 years and got his degree, and then he went back and was able to get his master's. If you don't keep up with your education, they won't hire you.
I see. I see.
You can't stay there,
I see.
but they pay for it.
Mm-hmm. So were there a lot of people in the neighborhood that, like I said, worked at Boeing? Did it seem like it?
Yeah, I'd say a third.
Because like I said, from the people we've interviewed, it
Yeah.
does sound like
Well,
that.
it was close.
Was there a lot of carpooling back and forth from Carrollton to Boeing?
Maybe when they first started, but once they got enough to have the second car, you know, my husband, he had to work overtime a lot of times, so he wanted his own car. Yeah. He
What
always
kind
had-
of job did he do there?
He was an engineer.
Let me ask you, what do you recall about the Carrollton Shopping Center? When you think about Carrollton Shopping Center, what do you remember about
It
it?
was great. You could walk there.
And why would you want to walk there? What
Well,
was there?
Oh, we had a grocery store, a post office, and a beauty shop, and a hardware store, and what do you call the places where they have goldfish and
Pet store?
huh?
A pet store?
A pet store, yeah, yeah, and a bowling alley.
Okay.
Which grocery stores do you remember there?
Well, there was just the IGA at that time.
Uh-huh.
Did you shop there at the IGA?
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, some people have told us that they had fireworks there on that lot on 4th of July. Do you recall that?
Oh, of course. Mm-hmm.
Would your children?
We could walk down there.
Right.
Yeah,
So did you carry chairs with you or just kind of
Yeah.
walk?
we carried chairs down.
Mm-hmm.
Did Bridgeton have a 4th of July parade at that time or not?
You know, yeah, they did. Yeah.
So the parade more or less ended right where the fireworks were.
Right.
So,
Well, they still have a parade.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they had that. They always had a parade. Yeah.
Now, what about the strip shoppings on the other side of Carrollton now where that Gene Love TV is and was that also have shops in there? Do you
Yeah.
recall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gene Love was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gene Love was originally on the north side of Natural Bridge, right? Towards Carrollton.
Well,
And then they moved across the street at
yeah.
some point.
Right. Right. They moved over. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But they were originally next to the grocery store there, right?
Right.
Okay. And what was the last grocery store you remember there?
Oh, IGA.
IGA. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I worked there when they it was Schnucks.
Oh, really? Really?
Right. After JB. And then
Oh.
Schnucks took it
Oh.
over, and then I worked there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But by then, were you still in Carrollton then when Schnucks was there?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we were in Carrollton until, we were in Carrollton until I moved to the condo over here.
Well, were you in Carrollton until the airport buyout?
Yes.
Is that why you
Oh,
moved?
yes. Oh, yeah.
And that was what year do you think? Do you remember?
8 years ago, whatever that was.
Early 2000?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And where did you move then?
I have a condo over here in Autumn View.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Off of McKelvey?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you say you still own that. Do you rent it out?
No, I got a car sitting there. No, I lived there until I came here.
I see. Is your plan to...
Well, I'd like to go home anytime. I keep telling my boys I'm ready to go home, but they don't think I am.
So this is a temporary place for you here
I hope.
at... We are actually interviewing you at, what is the name of this place?
Veronica House.
The Veronica House, which is right in back of DePaul Hospital.
Well, it's, I guess you say in back of.
Backside.
It's the side of, yeah.
Very close to DePaul Hospital.
Right, right.
I see. So your plan is to go back to your condo.
Well, I hope to, but the boys don't think I'm ready yet. But I think I am, but they don't. They don't think I can take care of myself. But I hope to, but I guess I'm not ready. It's nice to be here, and they take good care of me.
Well, think of it like being away at camp.
Yeah, right. That's a good idea.
And with meals. You get meals here.
Oh yeah, 3 meals.
Think of it being away at camp with meals.
Now there's Naomi House. They only get 2 meals, but it's $1,000 less than here. And over there, you take your own medicine. You have your own medicine in your room,
Mm-hmm.
or this you don't. But if you're over there and you're not taking your medicine right, they move you over here.
Oh, I see. So while you have been living in the condo, was your husband living then when you moved into the condo?
No, he was already he had Alzheimer's.
Oh,
He was already in a nursing. He had fallen and broken his hip when we were still in our house. And then he went into the hospital after he broke his lip. And from there, he went to a nursing home. What's the one down from the church there? Crestview, whatever. But anyway, he had broken his hip and the Alzheimer's had already started. In fact, he was diagnosed with dementia. We went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Whatever you do, don't fall."
oh,
Well, he did fall 2 weeks later
oh.
and broke his hip. And it really never healed, but then the dementia went into the Alzheimer's, and he was on 5 different kinds of medication as the new medicine came out.
Mm-hmm.
None of them really, it helps to keep them quiet. I mean, they don't get violent on the medication.
Why do you think what your leaf blower is right outside your window?
Yeah, I know.
A man with a power leaf blower trying to vacuum the walk in this beautiful courtyard here right outside your room. Why do you think that happens to people with Alzheimer's is a change of personality? Is that right? What do you think, as a nursing student yourself, what did you learn about that?
Oh, well, it starts with just forgetting things, sort of, you know. But anyway, he was starting to, and he knew, you know, So that when we went to the doctor, he said, well, the dementia's starting, you know.
And how old was he then at the point where he broke his hip? How old was he?
Well, let's see, he was in the nursing home for 2 years. That was 8 years ago. What year would that have been?
About 2004.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he was in the nursing home for 2 years. And they put him on, as the new medications came out, you know, they put him on. He was on 5 different new ones as they came out. But it does keep him quiet.
And calm?
It keeps them from getting violent. But after they reach that violent stage, then you have to put them in a place where they can be taken care of, you know. But since he had broken his hip, I don't think it ever healed, so he was bedridden. And he was in a walker. But I was able to bring him home, like for holidays and weekends. And he enjoyed that.
Now, is this to the condo you met?
Yeah.
That you were able to bring him?
We were already, he liked the condo because it was so easy to get around. You know,
That's good.
because he was in a walker.
I see.
But he liked that. I could just drive in the garage and he could get out of the car and come in. But I never kept him overnight. He would just come home for holidays or if the kids were there. And but he never. Well, he didn't rebel about going back, but he always said, well, why can't I just spend the night, you know? But I had it down. Well, his medicine was always there, so. But it was a long 2.5 years.
I'm sure it was.
But he was so uncomfortable at the end, and then he had developed a blood clot in his leg, and so I had him put in the hospital. And then he was only in the hospital 4 days. He had gotten up, but he got up to go to the bathroom. He wasn't supposed to get out of bed, but anyway, he got up to go to the bathroom and fell in the bathroom, and they found him.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I had been there that evening. In fact, I had stayed until about, it was around 9-10 o'clock, and the nurse said, you got to go home. It's, you know, you can come back in the morning or whatever. Well, they called me at 7 o'clock in the morning and tell me. So I called my kids. The kids knew he was in the hospital, so I called my son in Kansas City, and he said, I'll be there, Mom. So he was there. In fact, he was on his way.
Oh?
Yeah. He had planned to come just for the weekend.
Oh, uh-huh.
And
Where's your husband buried?
Indiana.
Oh.
That's where I'm from, and that's where he wanted to be buried.
Okay.
We got lots up there when my parents died.
I see.
Sits in the same area as my family,
I see.
and that's where he wanted to be buried.
I see. Well, getting back to living in Carrollton, thinking back, what do you remember of your neighbors and just being involved with the church and school? You know, how would you kind of categorize or characterize, that?
It was great. It really was. It was great living there. It was a fun time in our lives, and with the children, the kids are all happy, and it was great living there. We'd probably still be there if they had made us move. But yeah, it was great.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. Actually, we've heard a lot of people say the same thing, and it's sad, you know, that the airport, well, the only way they could expand was to take over.
But they haven't used it.
Not too much. Just when the president came in, I believe.
Well, yeah.
Air Force One parked on the new runway.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that new runway was, the back of our lot it went up a hill, and then there was a fence for the highway, you know, and then the highway was down here, and the end of that runway was right over that fence, you know, across the highway, of our backyard. My husband loved that though, because he loved airplanes, you know.
Oh,
Yeah. I remember when we first got married, we lived in Woodson Terrace, and I was sitting out in the backyard, and I said, it's so noisy here. He said, don't you complain about that, it's your bread and butter.
oh, yeah, I guess so.
So I never complained about the noise.
Right. Well, was it noisy when you lived in Carrollton?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't complain. Your husband works out there.
Right.
You get used to it.
You know, one thing I think it is nice being located to the airport like we are, because then if you ever use the airport or have friends or relatives that need to come in and out, it's just
Right.
a very short little ride. Whereas, you know, people that live, you know,
Well,
South St. Louis or on the
I know.
outskirts,
I know.
you know, they have to really plan on a long time to get here.
Oh, it's very convenient. Yeah.
So it is real nice for us in some ways.
Yeah.
And you know, the airport suffered a blow last year from that tornado.
But they got it all fixed up
Right,
in a hurry.
right. That's right.
In fact, our church was the one that was hit, that they showed on television. That the roof came off at our church.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that were right over here, Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And they had service that very night on Good Friday,
It was
didn't
Good
they?
Friday. It was on TV.
But nobody was hurt, were they?
No,
What a miracle that was.
wasn't it though?
Yes.
In fact, I had gone up to my son's in Spokane, Washington for a wedding. My granddaughter got married. And, or no, I went up for Easter, that's what it was. It was Good Friday.
Right.
So I went up for Easter, so I wasn't even home when that happened. But my daughter-in-law got up the next morning and she turned on the TV and she said, "Oh, Mom," she said, the airport, I was up, I don't know, I had a TV I was upstairs, they have a 2-story house, and I was upstairs, and their bedroom was downstairs, and I had turned on the TV up in my bedroom. And about that time she said, "Mom," she said, "your church is on the TV."
Your church is on TV.
Yeah.
And not for a good reason.
Right. And then they had pictures, you know, of that door that I always go in, you know, that one side door. That's where, you remember, the pictures on TV. Yeah.
It's kind of scary to think that you may have been there except for your, granddaughter, you say?
Yeah. Yeah. But I was already in the condo and it didn't get hit, so.
Well, thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was kind of a shock to see the airport and all that on TV.
And when you came back,
Yeah, well, right after at 8:30 in the morning, there's 2-hour difference where I was in Spokane, Washington. And so it was 8:30 there where it was on. But anyway, right after we got up and I said, my daughter-in-law said, "Mom," and about that time the phone rang, it was my son. And his wife she's a beautician, they live in St. Charles. And she and her friend had gone to, she had to go to work, so they had come over here to Target to get something. And so they came by my condo and to see if it was all right.
mm-hmm.
And so when the phone rang, it was my son, and he said, "Well, Lori just went by there, your condo's okay." So, yeah, that was quite a occasion.
That was something. It really did a lot of damage to our community, but thank God nobody was physically.
Isn't that amazing?
It was, because a short time after that, then Joplin, Missouri got hit.
Oh gosh.
And then even after that, there was another tornado in the south. Where was that? In
Yeah.
Kentucky or south, yes. So we were unfortunate that we even got hit, but yet the people weren't, physically,
Well,
hurt.
nobody was killed.
Yes.
That's the amazing thing.
Exactly right, yes.
I don't know, in Joplin, was there somebody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had
Quite
some.
a few.
They had some. But the one that hit the airport, there was nothing, nobody got hurt in that one.
Let me ask you, since you moved into your condo, do you do any activities in Bridgeton? Like, do you go to the Bridgeton Community Center for any activities?
Oh, I play bridge 5 times a month.
Where do you play?
Well, we play at Country Buffet, and we play at in St. Charles at we play at a restaurant on Fridays. We play in a restaurant, and then sometimes we play at people's houses. Our duplicate bridge is at people's houses, and so they come and pick me up here, and I go. And then every Saturday they pick me up, and I go to the beauty shop.
What beauty shop you go to?
Well, over in Bridgeton, it's the one. I've been going to Audrey. She was always been in Bridgeton. What's the name of the one now? She's been in so many beauty shops right here in Bridgeton. It's all about hair.
Oh,
It's right there by the Bubble Station, and there where that shopping center. There's a
by
shop.
Pizza Hut across from Kohl's
No, by the mobile station.
on St. Charles Rock Road.
Yeah, where there's they have a Key Place there. Yeah. It's down from the post office,
Okay,
down that way.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Natural Bridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been going to her since she was 18, and she's now 68.
Very loyal customer you've been.
Well, I'm 85, so.
You've been very loyal to her.
Well, one of the customers lives right over here in McKelvey, so she picks me up and brings me back.
Who's that?
What's her last name?
Not Jerry.
That's what, I guess
No.
that's who I was wondering.
Mm.
Well, that's okay.
It just went.
Right, that's all right. Don't worry about it. We interviewed a lady named Jerry Voshan that lives up on McKelvey.
No.
I was just wondering by chance if it might have been her.
Oh, why can't I remember?
No problem. Really, it's not really a problem.
That's
at
one of the
all.
reasons I'm here is my brain.
Well, we all
That
have
duplicate
it.
bridge really keeps you sharp.
Oh yeah. I play here every Tuesday night with 3 nuns.
Oh, really?
Do they
Uh-huh.
cheat?
Oh, no. Well, in fact, one of them just passed away. She had neuropathy. Right? We have to deal for her. We have to. In fact, right now we have to deal for 2 people that
Uh-huh.
I play with. There's just 4 of us that play. But that's all right. We play anyway. It's kind of hilarious.
Do you have a computer at your condo?
Yeah, there's one there.
Do you ever play card games on your computer?
No, I never got. I had the email. I mastered the email thing, but I never mastered the computer stuff.
Right. It's confusing. I know I'm not very good at it. Joe is, and I'm not.
Well, I never got. There's one there, but my son put it in when we've always had one in the house. Let's put it that way. And my husband wouldn't touch it. But I could do email and that sort of thing, but I couldn't go beyond that. I guess I didn't try hard enough.
Right.
I should have, but
Well, it wasn't important to you.
well, no, it wasn't, and I got all I can do now with my cell phone.
Well, every time they change and they keep changing everything,
I know.
it's very confusing.
I know it is, and it even took away our channel 60, channel 60. You can't get that anymore. It's a pay thing now. You can get it, but it's on your bill. You have that? Did you get it?
No, we don't have cable TV at all.
Oh, you don't have cable? Yeah, well, we've always had that. All of the boys put it in there. My son, He works, he's that, well, both of them, the one that works at Boeing, and they have to do that, you know. And the one in Kansas City, he's the engineer.
Do you get together with any of the people that used to live in Carrollton? Do you kind of keep in touch with anybody?
Well, I play bridge with those people.
I see.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then, well, you know, the one over at the community center, Richie's mom. Well, anyway, I play bridge with a lot of the girls that used to live in Carrollton. A lot of them live in St. Charles now. But, and then there's one that still lives over here, Judy Sheets. She picks me up.
Does she? She's on our historical commission.
Is it Judy?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he has Alzheimer's, you know. Yeah, she finally had to put him in a home or whatever. He wasn't getting violent or anything, but she couldn't quite handle him. He kept running off, you know.
It's a very, very sad situation, and you know, I don't know how you made it through that time, and I don't know how Judy makes it through, but she's a lot of fun. We've known her with being on historical commission together, and I know there's been many times when her and I did some event together, and people would always come up and say, Judy, Judy, you know,
Judy.
and anyway, was there anything else you'd like to tell us about what you remember about Carrollton, especially while your children were growing up, possibly? Do you remember when Northwest Plaza was being built?
Oh, yes.
Was
yes.
that a big deal in your life?
Oh, yes, yes. It was really nice. It's thinking that's sad now.
Did any of your children work there, have a job up there?
Yes, my daughter worked at Kmart, and my son worked at the TV place. Gene Love. He worked at night sweeping floors at Gene Love when he was in school, and he also worked over at Village Square for Morocco's. And then my youngest son, he worked at DePaul here when he was in high school in the kitchen in the summertime. Yes. Hello. Oh. Oh. That's
Give us a
right.
minute, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Jeff,
Thank you.
what?
Oops.
Joe, why don't you turn it off? You want to turn it off?
No, we're good.
Oh,
Thank you.
I forgot that was still on.
No.
Where were we?
We were just talking about Northwest Plaza
Oh.
and what a big event it was, and having the outdoors, you know, those shops, and you could walk
Yeah.
from around. And once in a while they had an outdoor concert there. Do you remember
Oh, yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, they have outdoor concerts at Bridgeton, you know, in the summer. They'll have
Right.
about 5 or 6. Do you ever go up to their outdoor concerts on Sunday nights?
Yeah, I did when I was in the condo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, especially
Yeah.
if the weather's nice. It's very pleasant.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, we really appreciate you giving us some time today to talk.
That's quite all right.
And you hopefully you'll be back in your condo soon.
I don't know if the kids are gonna let me do that, but I can't complain because they do take good care of you here.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's very
And the
important.
food is good.
Well, that's even more important.
And you don't have to make it.
Yeah.
Or wash dishes.
I've forgotten how. I really have. Well, since my husband passed away, I have really forgotten. In fact, that's probably one of the reasons they got me here.
Thank you so much for talking
Okay.
to us.
Yes, thank you, Venitta.
Yeah.